What is up, hockey fans? This is Ben Goetz and David Shane, your Las Vegas Review-Journal Golden Knights reporters here at City National Arena for the Golden Edge podcast. Quick reminder before we get going, Golden Edge podcast is presented by STN Sports Mobile from Station Casinos. But Dave, this is a very special edition of the podcast.
Special guest.
We are joined by a special guest, Golden Knights left wing, and the leading scorer of the NHL preseason, Max Pacioretty. Max, thanks so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. First of all, we'll just get right into it. How's your second Las Vegas training camp treating you?
It's a lot different than my first one. A lot more comfortable. Obviously, I got traded the day before the training camp last year, so it seemed like it was all positive. My life a little bit in limbo, trying to find a place to live, where my kids will go to school, whatnot. So I was busy away from the rink. This time, I came 5 or 6 weeks before camp. Settled in and, led to a pretty good camp for myself individually. And I think a lot of my teammates are in a similar position where, everyone feels comfortable right now with where we're at. So we've had a pretty strong camp so far.
Yeah, I mean, how different is it just because, as you mentioned, I think you said earlier in training camp, you were running out after practice and looking at houses for, of course, you had 3 sons, and then your wife who was pregnant with your 4th son at the time. So I have to imagine that must have been just a really hectic time.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, while I was in it, it was fun, and I was busy and doing a lot. But at the end of the day, we need to save as much energy for hockey as possible. So I was expending a lot of energy away from the rink. And while, like I said, it was a great, it was a new experience, and I was learning a lot about Vegas and the community. It definitely took up a lot of my time and energy. So it's nice now to be able to go home and maybe take the odd nap here and there before I pick up the kids from school. But it's also nice to have a little bit of a schedule and some structure. It's kind of the way I've lived my life always is I do the same thing every day. I eat the same thing every day. I like to be in a routine. And so that was difficult at the time, living in a hotel, but feel good now and I got my routine locked down.
I mean, I don't think fans really kind of know what goes into for a player being traded. Obviously there were some rumors and things like that. How much, I guess, preparation did you sort of have? How much kind of knowledge going into, the summer that this could happen? Were you prepared for it, I guess, even?
Yeah, to be honest, it completely messed with my whole summer plans and routine. I had to stay in Montreal for the entire summer. A big reason for that was, getting the call when I will get traded to get everything ready and get everything organized, because I just felt like it was a matter of time. The writing was on the wall. So normally I go to Connecticut and I train there with my trainer. So I had to find a new training setup in Montreal. I had to organize, skates and whatnot on my own. So it was, in that sense, it was much different. And it was almost like waiting by the phone every day, waiting for it to happen. And you have in your mind maybe a couple teams here and there that are interested. But at the same time, you can never really fully prepare for what's about to happen. So this summer I was able to get back with, my old trainer and my training routine. And as I mentioned, come back here early, and we have such a great staff here that you're able to kind of continue that program once you get here and get ready for the year. So it's made, I think, a world of difference, and hopefully I can show that this year.
Well, I want to get into a lot of stuff, not just, of course, the circumstances that brought you here. You mentioned Connecticut. You grew up there, and I believe, is this accurate, the Mark Messier Rangers kind of helped you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, I mean, no one in my family ever played hockey. My mom was actually born in Mexico. My dad in California. They lived out there. No one in my family ever played hockey. Had to have been around 94 when I just said, let's go to the rink for a free skate. I enjoyed watching the Rangers win the Stanley Cup that year. So we go to the rink, and then there's a flyer on the wall that said sign up for hockey. And I said, why not? We'll try it. And just fell in love with the game. At the same time, my family fell in love with it. And no one ever forced me to go to the rink or forced me to go play hockey. I think if they did, I probably would have rebelled and not played. So it was a genuine love for the game that, kind of drove me every day. And as I mentioned, my family ended up falling in love with the game. I think my dad nicknamed my mom Donna Cherry after she would stay up late and watch the West Coast games when we would all go to bed when my family got the NHL package. So it was just cool to see a household family of people who just didn't even know what hockey was to kind of fall in love with it. And that's my childhood right there.
And now she has a much bigger reason to stay up for those West Coast games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned your mom being born in Mexico.
Yeah.
I'm curious, kind of, I guess, how it shaped you in terms of if you've ever felt singled out sort of growing up in hockey, and maybe if it made you more sensitive to some of the, kind of diversity issues in hockey that we hear about now.
No, I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool that, being one of, I didn't know any growing up, any people of Spanish descent playing hockey. Really cool that I was able to play with Scott Gomez, one of my favorite players. And even when he was with the Rangers, he was probably one of my favorite players. There haven't been a lot. Austin Matthews is one. It hasn't been talked about a lot that my mom was born in Mexico, but something I take a lot of pride in. And I've never had to deal with any challenges of that. I think it's cool, and I'm proud that I'm one of the few. And hopefully, down the road there can be a lot more.
Of course, after starting hockey, you became a first-round pick. You played at Michigan. Dave and I are both Big Ten people, so we can appreciate that. And of course, you became a Canadian, which is one of the storied NHL franchises, and had a lot of eventful moments there.
Yeah.
One of the big ones was, of course, this is a Zdeno Chara hit.
Yeah.
Bad hit that hurt, I believe, a vertebrae in your neck.
Yeah.
If I'm looking back on it, I believe it's 8 years now. I guess, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know what? If you're going to play in Montreal, especially for 11 years, you're going to have to learn to overcome adversity. There's always going to be some sort of adversity, whether it be within the media or expectations, pressure. In my case, the broken neck and the media attention that came along with that. And it shaped me into the player and the person that I am right now. I definitely had a lot of experiences when I was there. I'm thankful for those experiences, but I'm also thankful that that's kind of beyond me now. I think I've learned all that I can from all that, and I'm ready to kind of just exhale and after my first season in Vegas, just worry about one thing, and that's winning hockey games. And I was happy that I was able to find my game there towards the end of the year and in the playoffs. And I think being able, like I said, to overcome some of that adversity earlier in my career kind of helped me with the expectations and the adversity after my trade. I don't like the way I started the season last year. I faced some adversity as well with injuries and whatnot, and line mates injuries, and it definitely was far from a perfect year, but I'm looking to get beyond that and use that to my advantage this year, and be ready for whatever does happen and take it in stride.
I would imagine anybody that goes through an injury like that, we hear about kind of how it changes perspective and things like that. Did your perspective change on hockey? Did you, I guess, maybe gain more of an appreciation, going forward in your career after that?
Yeah, I also think I was too young and naive to realize how serious it was. My parents were at the game, and obviously you never want to see anyone go through that, but I couldn't even imagine now that I have kids how I would feel. And they stayed with me at the hospital the whole time. They stayed with me for the recovery the whole time, and my wife was there every second of the way too. So I think I was just too young and naive, and I think it's almost better off that way, that I didn't know really the severity or to what extent, how bad that could have been. So I don't take any day for granted now that I look back on it, now that I have kids of my own, whether it's a preseason game at T-Mobile or whatever it is. I just enjoy playing each and every day. And I think playing in a place like Las Vegas now, where we get the chills coming into the rink for a preseason game at T-Mobile, it's I just want to go out there and have fun every day, and playing in a market like this allows me to do so and just not worry about anything else except for fulfilling my childhood dream and hopefully winning the ultimate prize soon.
I have to ask you about another memorable Montreal Canadiens moment, the Pacioretty 67 burger, which was at McDonald's for, I believe, like a month in Montreal.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the listeners what a Pacioretty 67 burger is?
Yeah, as we mentioned my heritage, there's some Mexican flair in there with the tortilla chips.
Ooh, nice. I might have to try that when I'm up there.
It was good, but I trying to be a little bit healthier now. I don't want our the training staff here to know that I was doing an endorsement with McDonald's. I think we're pretty serious here about the training regimen and the food and the nutrition here. So that part of me is is in the past. It was fun while it lasted. I had some of those burgers and on, I guess, to some healthier stuff while I'm here.
Did you have like input in like, I guess, the design or the ingredients that were going to go in the burger?
Yeah, we had a few options and tried them, and I liked having those chips in there, so it was pretty good.
Nice. So, I mean, obviously being a captain in Montreal, you're probably more recognizable than the mayor, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you give a sense of just what it was like to walk around every day as the captain of Montreal and, you know, probably not even be able to go to the supermarket without being bothered for, you know, autographs or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I mean, you got noticed by every single person, every single place you went. But the whole narrative that that's a negative thing kind of always upset me. Within my whole career there, I never heard a negative thing outside of the rink. I think when you do see or hear the negative stuff, that seemed to be a lot of like social media and whatnot. So I almost felt, you know, when a trade was coming and everyone was talking to me and everyone wanted to talk about it, I don't want to say I felt fake, but I just wanted to try and be as open and genuine as possible. I wasn't able to fulfill as much of the information as, you know, as I would have liked. That being said, I never had a negative encounter with a fan my entire career. So you often hear people that play in big markets, oh, you can't even shop for groceries. That's just so untrue, because the negative stuff that does happen is really not the people that you see out there. The people you see out there love the team, and you know, we're big fans of me as a player, and obviously being the captain. So yeah, I had nothing but positive things to say about that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously everyone wants to be a captain growing up. I mean, I was excited when I was captain of my, you know, Pee-wee team in Woodbury, Minnesota. But now that you're on a team that doesn't have like, you know, an official quote unquote captain with, you know, a C, has your, I guess, perception changed of kind of that leadership system, or how that's kind of structure is set up?
We have a unique situation here where everybody's equal. We rely upon 4 lines every game. We rely upon all the defensemen. This is a situation that's different from any other in the league. There's a reason why we don't have a captain. We genuinely have, you know, 23 leaders out there every day in practice, and it obviously started with you know, the whole misfit and that label of you know, guys feel that wherever they were before, they weren't wanted, and whether, you know, I feel I can include myself in that, and a couple of guys who were traded as well. So this is, you know, I know we say it and it sounds, you know, cliche that there's 23 leaders, but this is the one place that can, I think, genuinely say that, where we rely upon every person on this team at any given moment to help them make the teammates better. So definitely can't do it in every market. Definitely can't do it in bigger markets with a lot of attention, where, you know, the captain has to stay after and talk to, you know, so many media members every day and be the face of the club. That's just not the case here. So we're able to, I don't want to say fly under the radar, but we're able to kind of, you know, when some guys are going, they can get the attention. And then when other guys are going, we just feel like it's only a matter of time before, you know, everyone on the team gets their praise and what they deserve. And it just kind of keeps rolling like that.
Are there kind of positives and negatives maybe to a leadership system like that?
Yeah, I don't, you know, like I said, in our market, I don't see any negative of the way that we do it. Off the ice translates to on the ice. I think when you don't have, you know, 1 or 2 people that are higher than everyone else on the team, at least a really good team chemistry and camaraderie, both on and off the ice. You know, I've seen in bigger markets where someone gets a letter or someone is the captain and they get all the attention and the everything, you know, kind of goes through them. Yeah, that's great when things are going well, but when things aren't going well, you know, it's hard on people. So I just see our organization from top down. There's no egos. We saw that with management this summer. We saw that throughout our lineup, you know, the year before I came last year, and I think it'll just continue to always be like that. Everyone in this organization is important from the top down, and I think not having a captain kind of shows that and proves it.
Mm-hmm. Want to ask you, of course, about Paul Stasny, a guy you were very familiar with kind of coming into this team because you guys were Team USA teammates. I believe you're already friends off the ice. What was it like knowing once you got traded here that all of a sudden you guys are going to be teammates on the ice as well?
Yeah. Big reason why I wanted to sign an extension here. He's a great team guy that has a lot of experience, you know, obviously having a dad who, one of the best players of all time, always seemed to rub off on him as to how to play the game the right way, how to be a leader, how to say the right things at the right time. So he's, probably my best friend now, and we were very close before, but being on the same team now for an entire year has been a lot of fun, able to learn a lot from each other. And like I said, a big reason for, for my success, I think our line success is, he just plays the game the right way and he makes everyone around him better.
So we've seen how close you and Mark Stone, I guess, have become in the last few months.
Yeah.
Is it still a surprise to you knowing that, the rivalry that you guys had, going back to Ottawa and Montreal?
No, we stopped talking about it because it's normal now.
Yeah.
At first, it definitely wasn't. And I think even after our first game together, my wife came home and was like, yeah, even Mark's girlfriend said something about how he couldn't believe how weird it is. So definitely was strange at first, but we're past that for sure.
There does seem to be some actual on-ice chemistry that you guys have generated. Is that just kind of a byproduct of, two good players when they get together? Sometimes good things happen?
Yeah, I think we really play awesome together. I think we really have an understanding of where we each other are on the ice, plays we're about to make and whatnot. So, I don't know why his chemistry works, but I think, when you have smart players like we do throughout our whole lineup, we have a lot of good chemistry up and down. But I really feel that Mark and I have developed a lot of great chemistry, especially with Stas. So hopefully we can keep that going.
Yep, just a couple more for you before we'll let you get out of here. I mean, first of all, you've touched on this already, but what can Golden Knights fans expect from Max Pacioretty this season?
I'm just going to give it my all every night, and there's different ways I can contribute to this team. We have a lot of good offensive players, and I'm not relied upon offensively as much as I have been on the past, and sometimes that's a nice thing because it allows me to round out my game. I think being able to play physical has helped our team at times, and no matter what the score is, no matter what position we're in, I just want to go out there and give it my all every game. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and hopefully I can do so. And hopefully if I'm able to rub off on my teammates in certain times, through my experiences, hopefully I can do that as well.
You've obviously been a part of some big rivalries in the NHL. You guys start out with the Sharks. How do you feel about this rivalry now that you're kind of going into year 2 with it? And it seems like, obviously the bad blood's there on both sides. Yeah.
It's, so the weirdest thing for me about it is that I don't think Montreal has won a game in San Jose. I don't know what the stat said, but maybe like 10 years plus.
Oh, wow.
So
well, I have to look that up.
Yeah, I looked it up last year. It was a long time.
Yeah. So I was coming into San Jose with just nightmares of, when they go on the power play and they got the shark mute, the Jaws music, and I just never had success in San Jose. And then I remember telling people how hard it is to play in San Jose, but our team, felt comfortable being in there, and that changed quickly. I was able to find my game pretty quickly playing in there. It just shows how funny the mind works, where you go thinking a team is impossible to play against, to finding some room and creating some opportunities, and that just changes. But it reminds me a lot of when Montreal, we'd play against Boston, and it just seemed like there's always some sort of, whether it's a fight or a scrap or a controversy that just got things heated. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun and a big rivalry for years to come.
Last one from us. Obviously, you guys now have Mark Stone for the full season. I mean, your top 6 seems set and preloaded. How good can this team be this year?
We have a lot of depth, and a lot more depth than any team I've ever played on, and that's really nice because this summer you hear all this stuff about Knights are in cap trouble and what are they going to do? But we're not in cap trouble. We're just a cap team because we have all of our players signed. We have a lot of good players, and they're all signed for a long time, and I think that allows us to have such good depth where. Say, adversity does come and things do happen throughout the year, which it always does. We're able to bounce guys around and put them in different roles. So I think in the long run, that leads to a really good team with good chemistry, and like I said, the depth of this team is unlike any I've ever been on. So hopefully it doesn't have to get to the point where we have to bounce things around too much. But obviously when adversity comes, it's nice to be able to have those options.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on the Golden Edge podcast. A reminder that we are presented by STN Sports Mobile from Station Casinos. I'm Ben Goetz. He's David Shane with special guest Max Pacioretty. Max, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks all for listening, and we'll talk to you again real soon.